What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of NBA action here on Wednesday, March 19th. We're going to break down every NBA game tonight and to take a look at the biggest college basketball games on this slate. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure you're checking that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Yesterday, not our best day out there, but we did cash our biggest play of the day. We had the Brooklyn Nets plus 13.5. They end up eventually losing by 8 points there to the Boston Celtics. So a nice cover there for the Nets. We'll certainly take that one. And like we said in the video, guys, that did end up being our biggest bet of the day. But unfortunately, the college side, NIT action, and even these early NCAA tournament games, these first 4 games can be pretty sketch. We had San Diego State plus 4.5. That didn't work out. North Carolina really taking it personally that everybody thinks they don't belong in the tournament. We had the under in that SLU Arkansas State game. Both teams showing big trends towards the under. Well, not so much in that game. And we had Wichita State plus 5.5. That was a very close game down the stretch, but unfortunately for us, not at the end. So technically a 1-3 day, but we do cash our biggest play out there. So hope you guys were at least with us there on the Nets. Slam that like button. If we get this video to 1,000 likes, we're giving away a Stump the Spread hoodie to one random commenter. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Once we get to 50,000 subscribers, we're giving away another hoodie. Guys, we have a huge NCAA basketball bracket challenge over there at Stump the Spread. It's on ESPN. There's a link down there in the description. The prizes are right up here on the screen. $100 cold hard cash for first place, and everybody in there getting merch, getting premium memberships, all kinds of good stuff. Definitely get over there and sign up. The password and the link are both down in the description, as well as you can see them right here on the screen. If you're a huge fan of what we're doing here every single day, you can sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Channel members get exclusive early access to all of my videos and get their names up on screen in every video. But more importantly, you'll get access to our monthly members only giveaways. We'll be giving away a Stump the Spread hoodie to one random channel member on March 20th, the first day of the NCAA tournament. So get in there if you're interested in being a part of that giveaway. You only have a couple days left. All of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there. All of us have at least 15 plus years in the industry, and together we cover all the major sports. Right now, our premium members are getting daily college basketball, NBA, NHL, and UFC picks, and Major League Baseball just got underway with the real opening day here coming up very, very quickly. Click the link in the description to head to StumpTheSpread.com and see everything we offer, including free-to-use bet size calculators, exclusive free picks not covered in this video, and our premium top confidence picks. If you aren't ready to become a premium member, sign up for a free account to get access to our email newsletter, which will get you free picks straight to your inbox every day and updates on results. Just make sure to check your spam folder. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today or any other feedback you have for me, and I will personally respond every single day. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Dallas Mavericks going on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers. Things are getting pretty dire out there for the Mavs. I mean, it's kind of what you would expect at this point. This entire franchise completely falling apart. That Luka trade, an absolute clown show. Can't believe they did that, and now they're being punished for it by the basketball gods with all these injuries. It does kind of appear now that Anthony Davis might be coming back this season. We'll see when he's able to do that, but right now they're only a single game up on the Phoenix Suns for that 10 seed, and the Mavs are currently 2-8 over their last 10 games, fresh off a 130-125 loss in a tanking competition that's kind of going on. I mean, they're not really trying to tank, guys. It's just happening on their own, but they lost 125-130 against the Philadelphia 76ers. Pretty embarrassing stuff to lose against the 76ers, one of the most blatantly tanking teams at this point in the season. Quentin Grimes is playing well for them, but right now, guys, PJ Washington, Klay Thompson trying to carry the load out there for the Mavs. Najee Marshall putting up some good numbers as well, but I don't know. I just don't really see it, guys. If you can't beat the 76ers, who can you really beat at this point? So we'll see what they can do, see what kind of player availability they have for this one. Right now, it looks like they should have basically everybody in the starting lineup. We do see Jaden Hardy, Caleb Martin, and Kai Jones all listed as out for this game. Brandon Williams is on the injury report there. He's questionable due to left hamstring tightness. So there's a shot that he misses this game, but really, you've got Klay, Najee Marshall, and PJ Washington all ready to go, I guess. And Spencer Dinwiddie. I guess you really have all of your best pieces in Max Christie. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Indiana Pacers, who are 38-29 on the year, fresh off a crazy 132-130 win there over the Timberwolves. Obi Toppin goes bonkers in that game. He was banking in threes, making crazy fall away threes there from the corner, like absolutely nuts stuff there from Toppin. He put up 34 points in the game. Got pretty chippy out there. We saw Anthony Edwards have a terrible shooting night, but shoot 20 free throws, made 19 of them. So a 9 from 24 day actually looks okay because you scored 38 points, but that's not the kind of NBA basketball I want to see, guys. We saw Minnesota shoot 36 free throws in that game. Indiana actually had an edge over Minnesota there on the board, so really great game there from the Pacers. They come into this one, doing what they need to do out there in the East. They're currently fifth. They are tied for the 4 seed with the Milwaukee Bucks, who are right now in danger of losing to the Golden State Warriors, who aren't even playing Steph Curry and are on the second half of back-to-back. So that would be a pretty bad loss there for those Bucks. That would be a pretty bad one. But yeah, the Pacers definitely loving life right now. They come into this game still pretty banged up. We see Halliburton, Nesmith, and Siakam all on the injury report. Halliburton with his back issue, he's questionable for this game. Nesmith with his ankle has been ruled out. And Siakam, guys, questionable due to personal reasons. So I'm not sure what's going on with Siakam. Let me know down in the comments if you know what's going on there. I'm not sure. It just says personal reasons, and I haven't seen anything out there in like the Twitter sphere or anything like that on what actually is going on with Siakam. So hopefully it's nothing terrible. The dude's having a great season. Looking at the numbers here, the oddsmakers expect this nice little run here for the Pacers to continue. They are -8. We've got a total of 234.5. Dallas 14-18-2 against spread on the road, 17-17-1 against spread after a loss. The Pacers 15-13-2 against spread at home, 15-22 against spread after a win. This is a bit of a letdown spot, but not so much if these guys end up playing. So, if we see Halliburton, Nesmith, and Siakam all play, this becomes a slamming on the Pacers spot. They should easily win this game by comfortable double digits. If we see, two of those guys sit out, that changes things quite a bit. I'm still going to be leaning towards the Pacers here at -8. I just can't put it into the pinned comment without a little bit more clarity on the injury situation. Next up, guys, we got the Houston Rockets going on the road to take on the Orlando Magic. The Rockets come into this game 44-25 on the season. They're on a nice little 7-game winning streak right now, which when you look back at that streak, like the best team they beat in there is probably the Magic. It's either the Magic or the Suns. So I don't think it's time to overreact. This team has had their problems. They've gotten healthy recently, so that's helped a lot. But when you're winning 144-137 against the 76ers, you're clearly not playing much defense. That is definitely a concern. Obviously, getting healthy has been the biggest problem here for the Rockets, and they haven't been healthy. They're still waiting for Amen Thompson to come back. But we've seen, Fred VanVleet coming back, kind of stabilize things. Although he played terrible in that overtime win over the 76ers. Bro went 1 of 6 from the field for 3 points in 38 minutes. So that's not great. Jalen Green had a big day, though. Dylan Brooks played well. They didn't even need anything crazy from Sengun. And a 30-point performance by Jabari Smith Jr. coming off the bench. You'll definitely take that. But you're not going to get it all the time, obviously. The Rockets, they come into this game in terms of the injury report looking healthy, except for Amen Thompson, who's still missing time with that ankle. It sounds like, he hasn't been, going through contact drills yet or anything like that. He could be back as soon as Friday. So that would be pretty quick to me. I don't know if you want to hustle him back that hard. Right now, the Rockets find themselves in the 2 seed, so they're playing for a lot right now. So I guess if you want to bring him back quick, that makes sense. But you roll an ankle twice in a row or, 2 times very quickly back-to-back, that can be a little bit brutal. So we'll see what they do here on the road against the Orlando Magic, who come into this game 32-37 on the season, fresh off a crazy 108-103 win there over the Cavaliers. That was at Cleveland. It snapped Cleveland's 16-game winning streak, which obviously that streak was going to come to an end at some point. Didn't necessarily think it was going to be against the Magic. Orlando, not a team that's having a great time here down the stretch. They've fallen all the way down to the 8 seed. They're 3-7 over their last 10 games. Maybe they're turning things around here a little bit, but this team is going to have an awfully, basically impossible time catching Detroit for the 6th seed. So they're going to be in the play-in. Probably not the most fun team to face in the play-in, or if they make it into the actual playoffs in there. So we'll see what goes on with them. They're coming into this game. Cole Anthony, really the only important guy on their injury report, and he's questionable there with that toe issue. But yeah, this squad really misses, Mo Wagner. That's definitely been, a significant absence, but they miss Jalen Suggs a whole freaking bunch. So we'll see what they look like next year, but this year, I don't think they're going to be that scary in the playoffs. So looking at the numbers here, the Magic are getting 2.5 points at home. We've got a total of 209.5. Houston, 19-12-1 against spread on the road, 23-19-1 against spread after a win. Orlando, 17-16-1 against spread at home, 16-15 against spread after a win. I think we're in a situation where the Orlando Magic are getting drastically overvalued. I think Houston's an actual good team. I think the Magic were a good team, but not really anymore. So definitely give me the Houston Rockets here on the road. I think this is a very good play unless some weird injury news that we don't know pops up. They should handle business here comfortably. Paolo could go off for 40. That is true. Franz Wagner could go off for 40. And if the Magic get both of them to score 40, they might crack 100. And I think Houston probably puts up 120 points this game and probably win easily. Next up, guys, we got a pretty interesting nationally televised game. We've got the Detroit Pistons going on the road to take on the Miami Heat. The Pistons are the reason this game is on national TV. How often do you hear that sentence, guys? Detroit 38-31 on the year, fresh off of a blowout win at New Orleans. So now they go from New Orleans to Miami. Not a bad little trip there. This team, they're making it happen, guys. Cade obviously having an insane season. 25 points, 9.5 assists per game, like pretty bonkers stuff. They're currently holding on to the 6th seed with a realistic chance to move up as high as the 4 seed. This team is, they're making it happen, guys. They haven't played amazing here recently, going 5-5 over their last 10, but we'll cut them a little bit of slack with losses to teams like the Thunder. That loss against the Wizards, though, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Also losing against the Warriors, that was a game they had their chances. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Loving what Detroit's doing right now. They're fully healthy coming into this game as well, which is obviously a huge, huge help there. Like, this team, pretty tough, a pretty tough out. Like, they've got size, they've got athleticism, they can shoot it a little bit, they've got guys that can shoot it. Malik Beasley, an amazing bench piece. Dennis Schroeder's starting to play well over there also. So yeah, this team is looking pretty freaking good. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Miami Heat, who come into this game 29-39 on the season. They've lost 8 in a row now, having a terrible time out there. They've fallen all the way to the 10 seed. They are got to be very happy that the Raptors and the 76ers are actively tanking, or they could be in a little bit of trouble. They're 1-9 over their last 10 games. It's brutal out there, guys. The departure of Jimmy Butler has this team completely spiraling, it feels like. They've had some injury, some bad injury luck and stuff like that, but when you're losing to the Knicks by 21, you're getting blown out by the Grizzlies. They kept things close for a little bit against the Celtics, but got blown out by the Clippers. They lost against the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls. Like, this team is imploding right now. It feels pretty bad. We've seen some pretty cool stuff from Miami over the years. It's cool that they end up with all these undrafted guys in there, but at some point you are paying the price, and right now it kind of feels like that. I mean, you got Duncan Robinson in your starting lineup. That doesn't usually feel great. Davion Mitchell, there's a reason he has bounced around a bit. Kyle Anderson, Kel'el Ware is a very interesting young piece. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has done some good things, but when you look at this lineup, it's really just short on any sort of significant superstar. In terms of their injury report, Andrew Wiggins is on there with a lower leg injury. He's questionable for this game, but really it hasn't mattered who they have. This squad is having a rough time out there, and they're getting 5.5 points here. We've got a total of 217.5. Detroit 22-11 and 2 against spread on the road, 18-17 and 2 against spread after a win. Miami 15-17 against spread at home, 17-20 and 1 against spread after a loss. This isn't a spot that I'm necessarily in love with because this Miami Heat maybe still has some fight in it, but guys, I'm taking the Pistons at -5.5. There's just no way. I mean, Miami's not good. They're just not good. Like, what are they going to do against Detroit that they can't do, that they haven't been able to do against teams like the Charlotte Hornets that they've lost to? Give me the Pistons in this one. I think they probably win this game by 8 to 10 points. Next on the docket, we're looking at the New Orleans Pelicans going on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Pretty tough news there for the Pelicans and for Trey Murphy. He is out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. Bro is having a great year, so kudos to him, but this team has been a nightmare. I mean, 18-51 in the year, fresh off getting demolished there by the Pistons, and before that they lost against the Spurs. Like, they have not been having a good time. We've seen Zion come back and play relatively well, but overall, not a lot of room for optimism for this team. Maybe next season things can turn around. Right now, they're starting Jose Alvarado, CJ McCollum, Zion, Kelly Olynyk, and Missy. Like, this is not a great team. And the bench, oh my God, the bench, guys. It is not good. Not good. Not good at all. So I don't have a lot of positive things right now to say about the Pelicans, except for Zion's back. He's playing well, and he looks like he's in shape. So maybe he can have a great summer. Maybe they can have a good year next year. But it's been a little bit brutal. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Timberwolves, who are probably a little bit pissed about getting shot out of the gym by Obi Toppin. That's probably not something anybody had on their bingo card. The Timberwolves, 40-30 on the year. They've actually been playing pretty well recently. They're currently still in that 7 seed, 8-2 over their last 10 games. Having a real rough time catching the Warriors, who are looking like they're going to get well, it's a little bit early to say, but they are up by 6 points late there against the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Warriors could be getting the win to keep that what little bit of distance they can between them and the Timberwolves there for the 6th seed. Minnesota in general, though, has been getting healthy, and they've been playing better. Gobert is back, and this team is at 100%. You're starting Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, and Rudy Gobert. I would say you've got a chance. The bench is looking pretty solid as well. So this team is headed in the right direction. Is it going to be as good as they were last year with Karl-Anthony Towns? I still think that trade was a bad trade. So we'll see how things work out down the stretch. The odds makers love them in this spot. The Timberwolves are 12.5 point favorites at home. We've got a total of 227.5. New Orleans 9-25 against spread on the road. That's an NBA worst mark. They're 19-30-1 against spread after a loss. Minnesota only 13-21-1 against spread at home. 13-15-1 against spread after a loss. So not a team that does a great job bouncing back. I mean, they're in a bounce back spot for sure after a tough loss, but I just have a really hard time taking the Timberwolves as 12.5 point favorites. So this isn't a game where I see a ton of value. I'm going to be leaning maybe slightly towards the Pelicans in like a 1-game dead cat bounce situation with Trey Murphy going down. Maybe the next game they play a little bit harder, play a little bit better. Some guys step up for a game or something like that. But maybe the Timberwolves don't take this one seriously, so that's why I'm leaning towards the Pelicans, but not a play I can really justify putting in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we've got a matchup between kind of the best and the worst. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers going on the road to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The 76ers only 23-45 on the year and blatantly, aggressively tanking things out, or trying to. The guys that are playing hard. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're fresh off of an overtime loss there against the Rockets, where we saw Quentin Grimes go off for 46 points. Why wasn't this guy a bigger part of your plans before? I don't really know, but whatever. The 76ers playing hard, but just not a roster with a ton of talent on it right now. I mean, Quentin Grimes is by far and away the best player that they're running out there. We're seeing Yabusele dealing with some knee soreness, Tyrese Maxey being held out. Like, it's pretty clear and pretty blatant that the 76ers are tanking things out now that they, have Paul George and, they've Embiid both out for the season. Looking at the injury report, it looks kind of like what you would expect. We see Maxey out, Oubre Jr. out, Yabusele probably out, Andre Drummond out, Lonnie Walker out. This isn't a team that's trying to win right now. They are definitely trying to lose games. So the question is, why is this line so short? They're going on the road to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are fresh off of another win, a third straight win. We see they're going to be without 3 starters against the 76ers, including SGA. So not the same team that just demolished the Bucks, guys. They've won their last 3 in a row, beating the Celtics, Pistons, and Bucks on that little road trip. So pretty solid stuff there. Now they don't really feel like they've got to play anybody here against the 76ers, and I can't really blame them. The 76ers aren't trying to win. They're not playing these games. Why should the Thunder be, doing anything but resting their guys when they have a 12.5 game cushion out there in the West? Like, this team just needs to get into the playoffs healthy. SGA, Dort, and Jalen Williams all sitting this game out, but that leaves more minutes for guys like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams. Hartenstein could also miss this game with a back issue, so he's questionable, but it appears Chet Holmgren's going to play. Jalen Williams is going to play. Like, this team is deep and very, very talented, guys. There's no way around that, and that's why the Thunder are still 9-point favorites. We've got a total of 230 out there. The 76ers, 14-19-1 against spread on the road, 14-29-1 against spread after a loss. That's an NBA worst against spread after a loss mark. The Thunder, 20-11-2 against spread at home, 33-19-3 against spread after a win. Guys, I don't care that the Thunder are sitting everybody. Take the Thunder at -9. As long as this is below double digits, I think it's a fantastic spot. OKC, by far the better team, even if they're not playing 3 out of their 5 starters. Like, they could be sitting 4 out of their 5. Like, as long as Chet or Hartenstein plays and you've got all these very, very solid backup guards, I think this team is going to be totally, totally fine. Give me the Thunder here to win this one, walking away. Next up, guys, we got the New York Knicks going on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. The Knicks, 43-24 on the year. They're fresh off a 116-95 win there against the Heat. They won 3 out of their last 4, so things are starting to look up a little bit. Obviously, this has been a team that's dealt with some injuries recently. We've seen, Jalen Brunson missing time, and I don't really think, it sounds like he's going to be out until early April. He's going to be out for a minute. No reason to really rush him back from that ankle injury. The Knicks right now find themselves in the 3 seed. They've got a 5-game cushion over the Milwaukee Bucks, and they've been playing pretty well recently. That's the only, Brunson's the only major injury on there, and it seems like they're finding a way to, figure things out without him for at least a little bit. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns playing great. This team doesn't have a ton of depth, that's for sure true, but their starters are pretty good. Mikal Bridges playing well. Josh Hart putting up triple-doubles. Maybe not like crazy, but he's doing it. So we're liking a lot of what we're seeing from the Knicks here, and they're going on the road to take on a San Antonio Spurs team that maybe not incredible. They're 28-39 on the year. They're playing a little bit better recently. I mean, a win over the Pelicans and a win over the Mavs doesn't exactly get me super jazzed up. They lost against the Hornets during that stretch. Like, this isn't a team that's really impressing me right now, and that's not what they're trying to do without Wemby. Like, they just want to get through the end of the season. They're also without De'Aaron Fox, so this isn't a squad that's really trying to win games. I mean, you're starting Chris Paul, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and Bismack Biyombo. 300-year-old Bismack Biyombo. They took him off ice, threw him out in the game, and he's playing starters minutes in the NBA. That's wild to me. That is absolutely wild. So that's the reason right there. The Spurs are getting 8.5 points at home. We've got a total of 229. The Knicks, 16-18 against spread on the road, 18-23-1 against spread after a win. The Spurs, 16-18 against spread at home, 20-18 against spread after a loss. Guys, I don't really see a lot of great ways to justify taking the Spurs. Like, are they going to magically keep this game close against a Knicks team that's actually trying to win games despite not having Jalen Brunson? Like, I know that sucks, but surely the Knicks can still win this one by double digits. Like, that seems a little bit tough. It is the front half of a back-to-back. Like, they're playing this game in San Antonio, and then they play their next one in Charlotte. So Fatigue could be a factor. They could be looking to pull guys early, but that's not really what Tibbs does either. So we'll see what happens in this one. Definitely shading here towards the Knicks to win this game by double digits. Rolling right along, guys, we've got quite the toilet bowl here. We've got the Washington Wizards going on the road to take on the Utah Jazz. The Wizards got a little bit of bad news there. Kispert going to be out for the season after thumb surgery. They just got handled pretty comfortably, losing by 15 points at Portland. That was coming off of a couple wins, so they'll take those, I suppose. But they're not a team that really wants to be winning games right now, guys. They are tanking it out. They want to get as good of a draft position as they can. It's very, very humorous to me that your franchise is so poorly run that Cooper Flagg would actually consider staying in college rather than playing for Duke another season rather than potentially coming to you or Charlotte. And I wouldn't blame the guy one freaking bit, especially with NIL now. Like he's stacking a lot of money right now. Like he's going to be all right. So I would be doing my absolute best to dodge teams like the Wizards or the Hornets because you get to the wrong organization, they can tank your career. The Wizards come into this game with Poole, Middleton, Keyshawn George, all on the injury report. Marcus Smart as well. Sounds like Jordan Poole doubtful for this game. Middleton ruled out officially. Keyshawn George questionable. We don't really care that much about him, to be honest. Marcus Smart dealing with an illness. He won't play. So in a battle of two teams aggressively tanking it out, they're taking on the Utah Jazz, who are 15-54 on the year. They just lost by 14 to the Chicago Bulls. It's real bleak, guys. I don't know what to say about this. Like, this tanking needs to be addressed by the NBA because it makes the end of the season. I mean, these games are unwatchable games. Like, they're terrible. Like, nobody is going to watch these games. What can you do about the tanking? I'm not 100% sure. I'd be a big fan of relegation being introduced in the NBA. Like, I don't know who you bring up. Like, congratulations, guys. The number one NCAA team gets to be an NBA team this next year. I don't know. But, like, this is out of hand. The Jazz are probably going to be doing their best to sit guys like Sexton, Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson. Like, they're trying their best not to play these guys, and when they do play them, they're trying to play them limited minutes. So it's a little bit tough to figure this out, to figure out how many minutes dudes are going to play and stuff like that. The Jazz are 3.5-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 235.5. Washington 14-18-2 against spread on the road, 22-27-2 against spread after a loss. The Jazz 17-17 against spread at home, so a little bit better at home, 25-28 against spread after a loss. I'm going to be taking the Jazz here at -1.5. I just don't think the Wizards have enough to be winning games right now. The Jazz are very effectively tanking. Don't get me wrong. They don't have incredible depth or anything like that, but they do have some decent guys that they're going to run out there for at least a few minutes. The Wizards are clearly resting everyone, so this is a real tank competition here. I'm not going to be betting this game because it is too disgusting. I can't support this kind of behavior, but if you're begging me for a side, give me the Jazz -3.5 at home. Next on the docket, we have a real basketball game. Thank God, guys. This is a nationally televised showdown between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Nuggets come into this game 44-25, fresh off of that insanely terrible performance there by the Warriors, where Denver won at the Chase Center 114-105 with just, no Jamal Murray, no Nikola Jokic, no Christian Brown. I think those are the main guys that were missing, but it was pretty crazy stuff. The Nuggets 44-25 on the season. They're currently sitting in the 3 seed, but they are tied there with the Houston Rockets for the 2 seed. So I think they would like to finish things as high in the standings as they possibly could. Like, if you can get an opening round matchup against the corpse of the Dallas Mavericks, the Sacramento Kings, even a team like the Clippers, you're not going to be too upset about that. So definitely the Nuggets trying to get as high of a seed as they possibly can, and it appears that we should be seeing, I would hope at least, we're trending towards seeing their full-strength team for this nationally televised game. Looking at the injury report, everybody's still on it. Jamal Murray listed as questionable with that ankle issue. I would kind of expect him to play in this game, but it sounds like there's a chance that he won't. So Christian Brown listed as questionable. I would definitely expect him to play in this game. I mean, that would be kind of wild. Apparently, he's dealing with left foot inflammation. I'm going to need to see it to believe it. Aaron Gordon, probable for this game. Probable for this game, coming off that monster performance there against the Warriors where he put up 38 points. Jokic comes into this game questionable with that elbow/ankle injury. And if they wanted to be cautious with him, I guess I would understand it. But I would kind of guess that he'll come back for this game. So we'll see what goes on for the Nuggets when they're at full strength. Obviously a very good team. When they're not, I expect a big step back. I don't think the second string guys plus Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon are going to go nuts again, but we'll see. They're taking on the Lakers here, who are 42-25 on the season. They've just won their last 2 in a row, but it was a little bit telling when they were losing games. Like they lost at the Nuggets, lost at the Bucks, lost at the Nets, and lost at the Celtics. So definitely not a super scary team when they don't have LeBron. That's been a big problem. In that 125-109 blowout there against the Spurs, Austin Reeves actually went off for 30 points. Interestingly enough, we saw Luka have a terrible shooting night, 5 of 20 from 3, 1 of 7 from 3-point range. He was a plus 19. He had 14 assists and 9 rebounds and 21 points. Just didn't shoot the ball particularly well, and I think we're just seeing a guy that's not fully back in basketball shape. It's really hard to maintain basketball shape when you're missing time due to a lower leg injury, and he missed a lot of time this year. So got to give him a chance to get back to 100%. I don't even know if we'll really see 100% Luka this season. That might be something we have to wait to see, 100% Luka in a Lakers jersey until next year, but we'll see. It's possible that he can get back to close to 100% here pretty soon. A big question for the Lakers is, when are we going to see LeBron James back and ready to go? And I don't think they're going to be rushing him back either. I mean, LeBron dealing with that groin issue. Seems like he's going to miss at least 1 more week, but that's what Shams is reporting. That's not an official report, but I mean, Shams rarely misses. So we'll see when he comes back, but sounds like he's making good progress, but there's no reason to really rush him back. I mean, obviously the Lakers want as high of a seed as possible. They're currently in the 4 seed, but they're not in any danger of dropping out of the, the 6th seed, below the 6th seed. So until that happens, I don't think there's any reason to rush LeBron back. We see Rui Hachimura. He's been ruled out of this game with his knee issue, and Luka is actually on the injury report as well, but he's listed as probable due to a right ankle sprain, but it must have been a pretty minor ankle sprain. So expecting to see all the Lakers except for Hachimura and LeBron out there. And look at the numbers. They're actually 1.5 point favorites, which makes me think the odds makers really do think the Nuggets are going to sit basically everybody that we saw them sit the night before. So if that's the case, I definitely like the Lakers at -5.5. Now, this is not going in the pinned comment. We need way more injury news. Maybe I'll add this one in later in the day, but it'll get added pretty late. So keep an eye on that injury report, guys. Keep an eye on that pinned comment, because it could change as late as I would say we'll probably won't know until 6 or so Central Standard Time before we know for sure who's going to actually play for the Nuggets. And we might not even know till then. So keep an eye on that pinned comment. We could end up adding this one in once we find out who is sitting for the Nuggets. We've got a total of 231.5. Denver, basically a 500 against the spread team on the road. 22-1 against spread after a win. The Lakers have been an excellent against spread team at home. 23-11 against spread at home. 24-16-1 against spread after a win. So definitely leaning towards the Lakers, but I can't put this in the pinned comment until I know who's playing for the Nuggets. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Chicago Bulls going on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns. The Bulls come into this game 29-39 on the season, but despite being pretty bad, they're currently in the 9 seed, tied for the 10 seed there with the Miami Heat. So a couple pretty terrible teams that are going to be in the play-in. We'll see what happens there. They're fresh off a 111-97 win over the aggressively tanking Utah Jazz. Kobe White putting up 26 points. That looks nice. We've seen some positive things from the Chicago Bulls team this season, but a lot of negatives as well. They're definitely a squad that's in at least close to rebuild mode, but we'll see what happens. Josh Giddey going to be out for this game, continuing to miss time there, still dealing with that ankle issue. I guess he's officially questionable, but I'll be shocked if we see him end up playing in this game. Other than that, they're relatively healthy. You got Vujicic, Trey Jones stepping in there at the point guard role, Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins actually looking like a reasonable backup center. So we'll see what this team does here. They're going up against the Phoenix Suns, who are in one of the darkest, kind of hilarious situations ever. It's pretty brutal to watch entire franchise get held hostage by the no trade clause of Bradley Beal. I don't know, pretty brutal. Bro's out at least for a week now with a hamstring issue after an MRI, so they're not going to have him. They did just blow out the Raptors, so congratulations there. They've won 2 out of their last 3, but at 32-37 on the year, they're currently in the 11 seed. So they're a full game back of the Mavs for the 10 seed, which they have to be very, very thankful Dallas has imploded here after that Luka trade, because without that, these Phoenix Suns, despite having Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, were going to be missing the playoffs 100%. But now it looks like they've got a decent chance to sneak into the 10 seed. We'll see what they do. Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, both going to be out for this game. Mason Plumlee also likely to be out. So they're not going to be at full strength. This is a team with very, very little bench. The whole Tyus Jones being a great acquisition thing, it didn't really pan out. So we'll see what happens here, but going to need to be huge nights from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and they need somebody else random to kind of step it up. And the Suns, they're 7.5 point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 236 out there. The Bulls, 17-15-1 against spread on the road, 11-15-2 against spread after win. But the Suns, guys, they're 12-20-1 against spread at home, 7-23-1 against spread after a win. That's an NBA worst mark against spread after a win. I'm taking the Bulls and the points. Like, I don't know what to do here. Like, this feels not great. It seems like the Suns are trying a little bit at this point, but the Bulls have some pieces. Like, Nick Richards, I don't think he's really going to be able to slow down Vujacic too much. I don't know. Like, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant could go off for, 30 points each. That's only 60 points, guys. That's not going to be enough to win. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm definitely shading towards the Chicago Bulls, getting 7.5 points. We've been searching for an underdog that we liked all day. This one has a great chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, we've got the Memphis Grizzlies going on the road here to take on the Portland Trail Blazers. The Grizzlies come into this game 43-26 on the season, fresh off a 132-122 loss at the Sacramento Kings. It's been a little bit brutal here, for this Memphis team. It just has not been great down the stretch. They've been very bad against good teams. Something that continued in their 133-124 loss against the Cavaliers. I don't know if the Grizzlies are actually good. I just don't know if they're actually good. They did win and cover for us against the Heat, a terrible team. So we'll see what they can get done in this one. We see Ja continue to miss time there with that shoulder issue. Apparently he won't play in this game. So now it's a hamstring issue. So all kinds of problems cropping up with Ja. This has turned into the Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. show. Like, kind of feels like Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best player on this team now. Like, was Ja ever even the best player? Like, bro is just throwing down crazy dunks. Like, I don't want to throw shade at Ja, but it's gotten a little brutal the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens here. Also, Scottie Pippen Jr. could be missing this game. Santi Aldama probably out. So they're going on the road to take on not the easiest team to face in the Portland Trail Blazers. They're 30-39 on the season. They're currently only, 3 games? They're 3 full games back of the Mavs, 2 full games back of the Phoenix Suns. This team is not completely out of it in the race there for the 10 seed in the West. They're coming off a blowout win there against the Wizards. They took care of business against the Raptors the game before that. They have had their struggles, don't get me wrong, but we are loving what we're seeing from guys like Anthony Simons. Scoot Henderson's playing well. We've seen Shadion Sharp playing well also, and they come into this game not looking fully healthy, but pretty close. I mean, we see Jeremy Grant likely to probably miss this game. Yeah, he's doubtful, but I don't know. I mean, other than him, there's nobody they're going to be missing that I'm really too worried about. And when you've got, Anthony Simons, Sharp, and Denny Adjeva has been a monster off the bench. Like, this team is looking pretty good. And they're getting 5.5 points here at home. We've got a total of 237. Memphis, 18-14-1 against spread on the road, 16-19 against spread after a loss. The Portland Trail Blazers are 20-14 against spread at home. They are 19-9-1 against spread after a win this season. That's an NBA best mark against the spread after a win. This team does not have letdowns, guys. I'm going to take the Portland Trail Blazers getting 5.5 points at home. Like, why would I not take them as an underdog on their home floor when they're playing so well? The Grizzlies are not playing great. Now, this is a situation where they're playing a bad team, but Portland's not that bad. So I'm going to be shading towards the Blazers here, getting 5.5 points. This has a real chance to end up in the pinned comment. Either this game or that, Chicago Bulls pick are going to go in the pinned comment for sure. Last but not least here on this NBA slate, a very loaded NBA slate. Don't click away though, guys. We are about to cover college basketball as well after this play, but we're going to have the Cleveland Cavaliers going on the road to take on the Sacramento Kings. The Cavs are locked in a very, very tough, very high scoring game against the Clippers. They're at the Clippers for this one. They're going to go from LA to Sacramento, so not a bad little flight, but they're in danger. They're down by 6 with 6 minutes left, so definitely could still win that game. But if they lost, they'd be dropping 2 in a row, which would be a little bit shocking for this team. Mobley came back. We'll see if he plays here on back-to-back nights. He was, dealing with an injury there. We'll see who actually plays on back-to-back nights because the Cavaliers really don't have any reason to be playing dudes on back-to-back nights. They've got a 7-game cushion there over the Celtics, so they're going to be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. There's really not a lot of reason for them to be pushing guys to play games. So we'll see who's actually available for Cleveland, see if they're coming off a win or a loss as they take on the Sacramento Kings, who just had another pretty devastating thing. Sabonis out at least 10 days with that injury. A right ankle sprain. Going to miss at least 10 games. 10 days. That's pretty brutal. They're 34-33 on the season. They're currently sitting where they at in the 9 seed, a couple games up on the Mavericks. They're 3.5 games back at the Clippers, so I don't think they're going to be moving out of the 9 seed. Seems like play-in is the destiny there for the Sacramento Kings. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Pretty good stuff to get a 10-point win there against the Grizzlies. Other than Sabonis, the injury report is looking very, very clean. Nice that they picked up Valanciunas. He can just slot right into that center spot. And, a Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Jonas Valanciunas. Starting lineup doesn't look bad, but that bench is pretty brutal. So not shocked to see the Kings getting points here. They're only getting 5 points, which to me means the odds makers think some guys are going to be sitting out for the Cavaliers. We've got a total of 234.5. Cleveland 22-10 against spread on the road. That's an NBA best mark against spread on the road. They're 7-6 against spread on no rest. The Kings 11-18-3 against spread at home, 15-16-2 against spread after a win. I don't know who's going to play in this game, guys. So I can't give you a great lean. I'm going to be leaning just a little bit towards possibly the over. I think over 234.5, pretty live in this game. I also think the Kings at +5 is live as well, but until I know who's playing for the Cavaliers, I really can't give you much of a lean here at all. Now, guys, changing gears, hopping over to the college basketball slate, we're going to cover both NCAA tournament games and a couple of NIT games as well. First up, we've got number 16 Mount St. Mary's taking on number 16 American there in one of the first 4 games of the NCAA tournament. We see the Mountaineers, they come into this game 22-12 on the season. They made it through their conference tournament out there in the MAAC, taking down Iona pretty handily to make it here into the NCAA tournament. So well played by them. A decent team for sure. They don't have a big time leading scorer. Their season long numbers, they're around 300th in the nation in points per game. Their defense is okay, but not necessarily crazy good. They took down Marist a couple times. They did lose against Quinnipiac, the team that you would have definitely thought would be coming out of the MAAC. So, yeah, I don't have a ton of positive things to say about the Mountaineers, but they're not awful. They're taking on the American University Eagles, who are 22-12 on the season. They were the best team in the Patriot this year. Not by a huge margin, though. Bucknell was right there, but they've played well. They took down Navy. They've taken down Colgate a few times. They did lose to Bucknell, so that's a little bit of a bad look. In their non-conference, they didn't do too many amazing things. Got completely manhandled by North Carolina. Got blown out by St. Joseph's. Lost against Virginia, but played a close game there. So I guess that's the closest thing to being a solid team. They've got a good leading scorer, Matt Rogers. 55.6% from the field, 17 points per game. They've got a very solid point guard, Elijah Stevens. Their season-long numbers, though, not much better. They're a terrible rebounding team, a very mediocre offensive team. They don't play a very high pace, so these numbers don't look as, they're not as bad as they look, but this isn't a great team. And looking at the numbers here, guys, we see American, they are -2.5. We've got a total of 129 out there. Mount St. Mary's actually 21-11-1 against the spread, 19-14 to the under. American 17-14-1 against the spread, 16-16 to the over/under. I'm going to be siding here with Mount St. Mary's. They're a great team against the spread this year. They're getting a free bucket. I don't have a huge lean on this game either way, to be honest, guys. It's a bit tough to figure out how these two, how's the Patriot League going to do against the MAAC? That's a little bit difficult to figure out, but I'll take Mount St. Mary's here as a very small play. Next up, we got by far our most interesting NCAA tournament game of the day. I mean, there's only 2 games, so I guess that's not too hard, but we've got the Xavier Musketeers taking on Texas, a matchup of 2 11 seeds in that first 4, trying to make their way into the main draw here. We've got the Musketeers. They finished the year 21-11. They had a pretty good year out there in the Big East, going 13-7 in conference play. They lost to Marquette in the conference tournament by 2 points. Kind of a heartbreaker there. Their season-long numbers are concerning in as much as their rebounding was a problem. Like, this team has a very solid leading scorer in Zach Fremantle, 17.3 points per game, well over 50% from the field. Like, nothing wrong with that. The offensive numbers look good. The defensive numbers look fine as well, but you got to be able to rebound the ball a little bit, and that's not something this team has really shown a great aptitude towards. They looked okay in their non-conference schedule, but not necessarily amazing. This is a team that's gotten much better over the course of the season. They won their last, 7 games in a row going into their conference tournament with wins over teams like Creighton and Providence mixed in there. So we've liked a good amount of what we've seen from Xavier, but how will they do here against the Texas Longhorns, who are 19-15 on the year? They're a team that came on strong at the end of the year. They made it into the NCAA tournament despite being 6-12 in conference play. That's pretty wild. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Texas A&M there at the end of the season before losing 83-72 against Tennessee. Their season-long numbers kind of vaguely similar to what we're seeing from Xavier, to be honest. They're not as bad of a rebounding team, but they're decent offensively, decent defensively, but the rebounding, not great. They have probably the best player on the floor in this game, though, in Trey Johnson. I mean, 20 points per game, 42.7% from the field. That's not a crazy number, but still, this team, very, very good, and they've played against the toughest teams in the nation pretty much all season long. I think the SEC pretty clearly better out there, guys, than the Big East. Looking at the numbers, we see Texas getting 2.5 points. We've got a total of 151.5. Xavier, 18-14 against the spread, 17-15 to the under. Texas, 16-17-1 against the spread, 22-11-2 to the over. I could be interested in over 151.5 in this game. I don't think that's crazy, but I think Texas getting 2.5 points here is by far the better play. This is a college play that definitely has a shot to end up in the pinned comment here, and what has been a very NBA-heavy video for sure, but I think Texas plus 2.5, definitely a solid play. Now, guys, hopping over to the NIT, we've got Northern Iowa taking on SMU. Northern Iowa guys, they finished their year 20-12. They actually had a good year in the MVC, going 14-16 overall, but not able to break through that top level and be up there around the teams like Drake and Bradley. Northern Iowa losing to Bradley and crashing out against Valparaiso in the conference tournament. That was a really bad look. This team probably felt like they had a chance to run through the Missouri Valley Conference tournament and make it into the NCAA tournament, but their problems this year kind of predictable. They're not a very good rebounding team. Their offensive numbers not good enough to justify how bad they are on the boards. They're a pretty good team, especially at home. Their defensive numbers are excellent, but I don't know how well they're going to fare here against the SMU Mustangs, although the Mustangs have to be pretty disappointed that they're not in the NCAA tournament. They finished the year 23-10, 13-7 there in ACC play, so not a lot wrong with that. They didn't look great down the stretch. They played a very tough game against Clemson, though, losing by 3 points there against number 10 Clemson. They blew out Syracuse. A bad loss at Florida State there at the end of the year, but yeah, just not enough big-time wins. The ACC just not quite good enough to give them enough opportunities, but they could have beat teams like North Carolina. They could have scored a crazy upset against Duke. They could have scored a crazy upset or a big win against Louisville, and that didn't really happen for them. This team, very good offensively, very good on the boards. They play up-tempo, so those numbers may be a little bit artificially inflated, but we like what we're seeing from them. They don't have a big-time leading scorer, but this team, the real question here is, what is their motivation going to be like? The odds makers have them as 10.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 145.5. Northern Iowa, 19-12 against the spread this season, 20-11 to the under. SMU only 17-16 against spread, 17-16 to the over. Guys, I think this is a great spot to take Northern Iowa, getting 10.5 points against SMU team that I think is going to be very demotivated here. I don't think they're going to be playing their hearts out. They might win this game. They're going to be the more talented, more athletic team, but I don't think they're going to win it by 11 points. Give me Northern Iowa in the points in this one. Last but not least, guys, we've got the NIT nightcap. We've got Loyola Chicago taking on San Jose State. The Ramblers, 22-11 on the season. They finished the year 12-6 out in the A10. Their season ended thanks to the regular season ended, or kind of regular season, you know what I mean, a 62-55 loss there in the conference tournament to VCU. This team, not necessarily crazy season-long numbers, not necessarily any sort of crazy individual talent, but they found a way to make some noise, especially at the end of the year. Having a little winning streak there definitely doesn't hurt, but probably a team that's pretty disappointed they didn't make it into the NCAA tournament. They probably felt like they had a shot there at the end. They're taking on a team that never thought they would end up in the NCAA tournament in the San Jose State Spartans. They're 15-19 on the season. They didn't exactly have a great time out there in the Mountain West, finishing things up 7-13 on the year, but they did have some big wins. They played a very tough game against New Mexico there. A game they did lose, albeit, but this is a team that's been pretty interesting all season long out there in the Mountain West, a pretty interesting conference. Their season-long numbers don't look great, but they've scored some decent upset wins. They've played some tough games against some tough opponents. They're a team that likes to get up and down. They've got a decent leading scorer. I like a lot of what I've seen from San Jose State, and I think they're going to be pretty happy to be here, guys. They're getting 3.5 points. We've got a total of 141.5. Loyola Chicago, 17-15 against the spread, 16-15 to the under. San Jose State, 22-9-1 against the spread, 19-12-1 to the over. So kind of crazy stuff there. We obviously see this game being played as a home game there for San Jose State. That's how the NIT works in the first round. I like San Jose State a good amount in this one. It's not going in the pinned comment, but it is a play that I'm looking more deeply into. So premium members over at Stump the Spread, look out for this one. It's got a chance, guys. If I find the right information that I'm looking for, it's got a chance to end up in there. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Get over to stumpthespread.com. Get down in the description. We got links to stumpthespread.com as well as the link to that bracket challenge and the password to that bracket challenge. So definitely get in there. Links to both of those things are in the description, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.